Well, Cuphead and his pal Mugman, they like to roll the dice. By chance they came on a devil's game, and gosh, they paid the price. Paid the price. And now they're fighting for their lives on a mission fraught with dread. And if they proceed but don't succeed, well, the devil will take their heads.
Hello. I have returned! I think it's been roughly maybe a week since the last time I recorded a video. I don't know if you can tell if you have seen any of my other videos that I moved house. I am in a new place. I've never been here. Well, actually, where am I? Oh shit, I'm going back home. So yeah, I've been gone for about a week. I've just been really busy moving and kind of setting up my own room, let alone helping my parents with some other stuff for the house. Just all the original, normal moving jazz. But it is good to be back, and I'm not ranking TV shows today, or episodes, or series, or movies. I'm going to be ranking all of the Cuphead bosses, a game I really like. Hence, this, you can't see it because of the microphone. It's a Cuphead thing. It's like a Cuphead thing. I'm going to be ranking all the Cuphead bosses from personal opinion. I've played through the game. I've got 290% on it. You can get 300%. I have not beat that damn Chef Saltbaker expert mode. I am pissed. I've been trying for like 2 years, and I am almost on the verge of giving up, but I want to beat him. So I'm going to be ranking them all easiest to hardest. My personal opinion. You disagree with me, that's fine. Once again, I don't care. A total of 26 bosses, so I'm not going to be including the running gun levels, and I'm not going to be including the mini bosses on the King Dice level. And I am including the DC bosses, but not any of the ones in the castle. So now that that's all cleared up, in my number 26 spot, we have the first boss, the Root Pack. I think it's pretty obvious why Root Pack's in my 26th spot, because it is the easiest boss, and that's what it's designed to be. It's an easy boss for beginners. Obviously, you have Guppy Legrande, who is one of the starter kind of beginner tutorial bosses too. But I just thought Root Pack was easier. A lot of just standing there and shooting and maybe jumping over one or two things every once in a while. Not much to say about any of these starting ones, so I'm kind of just going to fire through them. 25 spot, we have Guppy Legrande. Another beginner boss. You kind of don't really jump as much on this one. You just run back and forth while shooting. Very easy boss for the first two. 24 spot, we actually jump past Inkwell IO1 and go straight into Inkwell IO2 with Baroness von Bonbon. I don't know if this was just a me thing or if it was the same for everyone else. I just thought this boss was extremely easy. Definitely by far the easiest boss from Inkwell IO2. Not only is actually fighting her and the castle easy enough, all the mini bosses that she sends out aren't hard to beat at all. You've got the gumball guy, you've got the muffin who's jumping up and down, you've got like the kind of peppercorn, what do you call it? No, not peppercorn. Now we're moving from Inkwell IO2 straight to Inkwell IO3 with my number 23 spot, Werner Vermin. I mean, once again, the easiest boss in Inkwell IO3 by far. Just a small rat in a tin who by the end of it controls a cat. His attacks are really basic, super easy to, whether it's jump over or even if you've got the invisible dash, you can just dash through it. The most challenging stage on this boss is I think the second to last stage where you need to avoid the bottle caps and the flames. That was the hardest stage, but it wasn't hard. My number 22 spot, we have Hildeberg going back to Inkwell IO1. The easiest plane level throughout the whole game for sure. And I just thought, once again, her attacks were really basic, quite boring. It's hard to get hit on Hildeberg, for me. Anyway, you have to remember, a lot of people out there might think Hildeberg's the hardest boss in the game. But for me, I just thought she was pretty basic, pretty boring, and easy. In my 21 spot, we have Captain Brainybeard. Again, we're still at that stage where these bosses are easy. The only reason I put him higher than the other ones that I've said so far is because his level was just so, or his boss fight was just so long. It was so dragged out. And what makes it even longer is if you haven't purchased one of the lock-on weapons, whether it's the kind of red darts or the stars. It just makes the whole thing a living nightmare to do. Not because it's hard, because it's time consuming. Now we're in the number 20 spot, and this is where the bosses start to get slightly harder, but not too much. They're still very, very manageable. My number 20 spot, we go back to Inkwell 1, Ribby and Croaks. These two guys are definitely harder than all the other ones I've listed so far. They're definitely one of the hardest out of the two that I can think of in Inkwell 1. The last boss in Inkwell 1 is much higher on my list, I'm not gonna lie. I'll go more into that later. I thought Ribby and Croaks is an enjoyable fight. Once again, I just think it drags on so long. Especially their final stage where they become this giant slot machine and then you need to dodge the coins and then parry the like little handle and then let it spin and then it will come with different things and then they're long. It can be long, it can be frustrating, but it's not hard. My number 19 spot, we have Jimmy the Great. Jimmy definitely took a couple of tries to, I don't want to say master, I'll say to beat. He took a good few tries to beat, but you only need to play him maybe 2 or 3 times before you get the gist of what's going on. Hardest stage is definitely the puppet Cuphead though. See, trying to avoid all this shit while trying to shoot it, and it's got a bunch of health. I just hit my mic with my hat. I don't care. My number 18 spot, we go back to Inkwell 3 with Sally stage play. A bit like Verna Vermin here, a very kind of short fight. She's not hard. She stands still a lot, so it's really easy to shoot her. The only reason it's so high is because of the amount of attacks she does. Annoying boss fight, yes. Hard boss fight, no. Number 17 spot, we now jump to the DLC. What the fuck? We now jump to the DLC bosses with the Moonshine Mob. I'm pretty sure this is the first boss I fought on when I bought the DLC. Did it take me a handful of tries to beat? Hell yeah it did. Did I fall for the fake victory at the end? No, I'm not stupid. The reason this is at this stage of my list is because there is so much that happens in this level, it's unbelievable. In my number 16 spot, this may shock a lot of people, we have Dr. Cal's robot. I know, a lot of people think Dr. Cal's robot is one of the hardest bosses in the game. I'm sure if you googled what's the hardest Cuphead boss, this would be somewhere there. I'm not sure, I haven't googled it. But to be honest, I just didn't think it was that challenging of a level. It wasn't. Definitely not the hardest playing level for sure. Toughest part was at the end where he was shooting all these different diamonds at you, because there's so much dodging, still trying to shoot them, and then you've got the pillars moving. It's difficult, yeah. But before that, for example, when you need to like shoot his heart and then shoot his head and then shoot his chest, stomach or whatever it is you have to do, and then while just dodging all this shit, it's not the hardest thing in the world. And then his second stage is even easier. It's just this head going back and forth. You just need to move up and down while you're shooting. Very easy. Now moving into my number 15 spot, we have another DLC boss, Esther Winchester. So I am going to come clean here. I kind of cheated with this boss. Not purposely. I got to I think it was the second last stage, and my game froze. But I didn't freeze, if that makes sense. So the boss froze, and the attacks froze, and everything froze, but I could still shoot the boss. So I just sat after it froze for the next, like, 30 seconds shooting the boss, and I won. I didn't want to put it too high, I didn't want to put it too low, I put it roughly in the middle because I didn't fairly fight this boss. I could always go back and do it, but I'm not going to. My number 14 spot, we have the Phantom Express. I just want to point out real quick, all the names of these bosses I think are perfect. Phantom Express, you've got the skeleton, you've got the guy with the eyeballs, you've got the 2 freaking lollipop looking things, I don't even know. And then you've got the train. Was it a tough boss fight? Yes. Was it a hard boss fight? No, it wasn't. Just once again, a lot of really basic attacks. After maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts, you get used to the pattern of what you have to do. My number 13 spot, this also may shock few people out there. We have Cala Maria. Very, very tough airplane fight, but is it the hardest? No. We'll find out later who is. I can't express how annoyed I got at the part where she could freeze you while all these fucking electrical balls were firing at you. The amount of frustration you had having to wiggle your controller, trying to break free while all these shits are flying towards you, hitting you. It was so frustrating, especially how even on her final stage where it was just you and her head going through the tunnel, she was still freezing you, but you still had to dodge all this shit in the path. Ridiculous. Not the hardest. My number 12 spot, we have Rumor Honeybottoms. The main reason this boss is higher than Cala Maria and that sort of thing per se is because of the platforms. The attacks aren't horrible to dodge, they're actually pretty easy. I know a couple of them follow you at parts, but they're really slow. Like, you can outrun them, and I'm pretty sure you can parry them too. But yeah, definitely keeping up with jumping up on these platforms for the entire level while the honey is rising towards you, it just adds another hard, difficult element to the game. It's a challenging game, it is a hard game. My number 11 spot, we have the final boss from Inkwell IO1, Kagani Carnation. I'm gonna come clean once again. Every time I play this boss now, these days, I can smash it first try. It's an easy boss. But me and him have beef that has never been squashed ever, and I will never let it be squashed. 2 hours this motherfucker took me the first time I got this game. 2 hours! I had a punching bag at the time, and I actually had to ask my dad, because it was heavy. I think I was, how old was I? I was maybe like 14 or something, 13. I was a skinny, weak little puss. So I asked my dad to bring it upstairs, just so if I got frustrated, I could hit that, rather than hitting my desk or throwing my controller at my screen or whatever the hell. And even more frustratingly, the part I kept dying at was the end, when he kept shooting the kind of sprouts up on the platforms, and you had to jump over the things and change platforms. I have a thing with platforms, people. Officially in the top 10 spot, this next boss that I'm going to list as my number 10 will be a lot of people's number 1, Grim Matchsticks. Now, I'm not going to lie, this boss is insanely difficult, that's why he's in my number 10 spot. There's 16 bosses easier than him. He is hard. But he's not impossible. Like I say, the first stage, you're shooting straight at him, avoiding some meteors in his tail and whatever. Not that hard of a first stage for an Inkwell IO3 boss. But stages 2 and 3 are just horror. It's like a nightmare. But I stand my ground that he is number 10 spot, because if you have the right weapons for this boss, you're in the clear. It's easy. If you have the lobber weapon for stage 2, where it's like the little ball that kind of lobs out into... it lobs down. It's like you're throwing a ball down at him. It's really easy because you don't have to be on one of the lower platforms risking getting hit by the fireballs. You can just stay on the top platforms, lob these lobbers down at him, and just kill them off pretty quickly. The lobbers do a fair amount of damage. Now moving into my number 9 spot, we have the one and only Devil. Obviously, without the DLC in the base game, the Devil is the final boss. He is like the guy. That's what the story's based out of. Cuphead and Mugman make a deal with the Devil, and he basically wins the deal. And the deal is he gets their souls, but then he gives them a bunch of contracts saying, go kill all these people, give me their souls instead, and I'll let you live. And then by the end of it, you get a choice whether to fight the Devil or join his side. If you're a real Cuphead player, like myself, you would have chose to fight the Devil, fought him, beat him, and then replayed it and chose to join him. Just to unlock the 2 endings. I don't think you get any achievements for it, but, you know. For being the final boss, I didn't think he was that hard. Definitely a lot going on, especially in the last stage. Once again, platforms. I think you have 4 platforms. There's stuff going on the side, stuff going on in the middle, stuff going on everywhere. And then eventually it levels down to just one platform. And you have to kind of jump on the outsides of the platform and keep landing back on it because there's poker chips flying. Once again, if you have the right weapon, the final stage won't last. It won't take a minute. Take maybe 40 seconds the last stage. If you have the right weapon, I believe it's called the spread shot, like the red diamonds. That's the one to use for the Devil, folks. My number 8 spot, we go back to the DLC with the Howling Aces. This was a super, super challenging boss fight. Especially, I know I keep saying it, but the last stage where it's flipping your camera, you just get thrown off completely, especially for the first time you play it. You're playing it normally, yep, that's fine, I can do this. Whoop, the screen's flip, oh shit, okay, I've got used to that, that's alright, oh my god, the screen's upside down. And then you die and you need to redo it all. Definitely takes a couple attempts to get used to that final stage, which just makes it even more annoying, because it means you have to play through the entire boss fight just to get to that final stage, so you can work on the final stage before actually being able to beat it. Sticking on the DLC, we have my number 7 spot, Glumstone the Giant. Now, without a shadow of a doubt, for me, there is the most amount of annoying, pissy shit happening in this level, it's infuriating. You've got some little gnomey pricks on the bottom. You've got the platforms moving up and down. He's doing his own shit. It's just so much firing at you at once. However, the reason this isn't any higher is because the last stage is incredibly easy. Once again, if you have the right weapons, especially for this last stage, if you have a lock-on weapon, preferably like the red spikes, I don't remember the name. But if you have them, not even a minute, once again, this final boss, easy. As long as you're half decent at dodging. If you can't dodge to save your own life, you're done. Now in my number 6 spot, we have my personal favourite boss fight out of the entire game, Beppy the Clown. Now, Beppy the Clown is definitely one of the most challenging bosses throughout the entire game. Of course, that's why he's in my number 6 spot. I have notes down here, that's why I keep looking down here. I'm not going to remember my list in my little brain. So why is he my favourite boss if I've put him in number 6 as being almost in the top 5 hardest bosses in the game? Because I love the style of the level, I love Beppy, I love all the stages, I love the weapons that he uses, I like the balloon stage especially. And I did download Cuphead for the hard experience. I wasn't expecting to get as frustrated as I did the first time I played it, not gonna lie. But it was kind of an enjoyable frustration. If anyone can relate, let me know. I don't want to be the only one that enjoys frustration. But yeah, Beppy the Clown, definitely my favourite boss fight throughout the entire game. Let's get on to my top 5. Taking my number 5 spot, we have the last aeroplane level that I am mentioning here, the hardest one in the game. Wally Warbles. I hated Wally Warbles. Who did I hate more than Wally Warbles? Wally Warbles' son. That small cheese grinny mega mind looking mother. Not only is this stage hard, but it's so long. If I were to think how long this was, if I had to guess, maybe like almost 2 minutes. And that's just from based off memory. It could be more, it could be less, I don't know. But based off memory, I think it was probably around about 2 minutes long. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but you can beat a lot of bosses in Cuphead within maybe 2-3 minute range, depending on how hard the boss is. So when one stage of this boss is the length that this one is, it's annoying. Hated the boss, hated his son, hated the level, hated the weapons, hated it all. Let's move on. My number 4 spot, we have Mortimer Freeze. He's also a gentleman who came in the DLC, and I didn't think he was as long as Wally Warbles. He was just annoying. Annoying to the point where it wasn't annoying that I was dying, I was annoyed by looking at his dumb pointy nose. And not only was what he done difficult, but then this big abominable snowman that he brought in just jumping over you, rolling towards you, turning into a fridge. That's a freezer, that would make more sense, but... However, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It was an enjoyable level, especially the last stage. I think the last stage was a very fun, enjoyable, yet difficult stage. Now, moving into the top 3. If you have somehow remembered the other 23 that I've named, you will know what's in my top 3. In my number 3 spot, we have King Dice. Now, once again, just a quick reminder, I said at the start I wasn't going to be rating all of King Dice's mini-bosses within his level, which I'm not. I'm just rating it based off of his boss fight at the end of it. There were very few times I got to the main fight with King Dice on more than, let's say, 2 hearts. So for the first couple times I played it, I was trying to parry on these cards while shooting them. Once again, a lock-on weapon is ideal for this boss. But I just couldn't for the life of me parry these fucking cards, and I gave up. I beat the entire game, I got to King Dice, and I tried, and I was like, okay, fuck this, I'm done, I'm not playing. And then I saw someone on YouTube play the game, and when they got to King Dice, rather than jumping and parrying on the cards, they went behind his hand. So I was like, no, that must be a glitch, that can't be right. So I went back on it, I tried it, lo and behold, you can just sit, I don't know if they've patched it now, it's been a while since I've done it, but you can just sit behind his hand while shooting him. Ugh. Now on to my number 2 spot. Earlier I mentioned I had 290% on Cuphead for completing the game, 290% completion. You can get 300%, that's the max. Why am I not on 300%? Chef Saltbake. Hey Chef Saltbake. There's honestly not a lot to say about Chef Saltbake. In order to 300% the level, you have to beat every boss and then beat every boss on expert mode, which I have done, just not Chef Saltbake. And I actually attempted it maybe 2-3 nights ago, and I tell you, when Cuphead was almost pole dancing on the finishing pole, he was this close, I tell you, this close. There's just too much going on. If I could give the devs one critique on this game, and one critique only, it would be to take out some of the stuff from Chef Saltbake's expert level. Absolutely unbelievable, infuriating, annoying, difficult. There's not enough words in the English dictionary to describe. Now, my number 1 spot, you may be thinking, but Jack, you have named every boss. Who else could you be thinking of? I'm confusion. Well, confusion no longer. My number 1 spot, we have Angel and Devil. Now, I don't remember what you have to do to unlock this boss, but it's not just like a boss where you beat this boss and it unlocks it. It's not that. You have to go through certain, like, hidden Easter eggs, and you have to sort out this kind of puzzle where, I don't remember, I'm sure you can Google it and find it. In the end of it, you beat all the puzzles, Cuphead goes to the graveyard, he falls asleep, wakes up in this dream that has an angel and a demon. This boss was so difficult and took me so long. Not only would I not go back to it to do it again for fun, because it wasn't fun, I wouldn't even recommend anyone trying to figure out this fucking impossible ass puzzle. It's like the impossible quiz, and then try and beat the boss. I just don't think it was fun. I didn't enjoy it. I was annoyed. I was frustrated, especially after trying to figure out this puzzle. And if I could go back in time and not know about this at all, I would. I hated it. The worst part wasn't only all of the shit happening and the platform, it was the fact that there was this beam going across the screen, and it kept changing every time. I think it's every time I would face the angel, it would turn to fire, where if it hit me, it damaged me, and every time I faced the demon or the devil, it would turn to like this white mist, where if it hit it, it would damage me. So I had to keep looking between the two, trying to survive. So there you go. I've probably got a list on screen now. It's probably taken up the entire screen. There's fucking 26 bosses I went through here. I think I covered them pretty well. But there you go. That's it from me. It feels good to be back in a new place, which I'm happy with. I'm not cuddled up in a corner in a chair anymore. And that's it from me. Bye-bye.